We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning is Clint Kelly, malpractice attorney here in town. We're going to take phone calls 737-7587. We started the show basically talking about the study that's just out that basically lays out, short of heart attack and cancer, the third cause of death in this country.
Correct.
Is
medical errors, preventable medical errors that cause death.
That's unbelievable. I mean, more than automobile accidents?
Right. That's what threw me off, because I always thought of automobile wrecks as being in the top three.
And we're talking about these things likely happening either through a mistake, maybe when you visit a doctor's office, or a hospital, places you're supposed to be cared for.
Nick, cars are safer.
Yeah.
Think about that, okay?
So I could have, do doctors do house calls or car calls? I could have a doctor visit me in my car. Yeah, okay, I'm just saying. Let's go to Joe. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, you've already covered pretty well what I was going to say very thoroughly, better than I could have said it. Mr. Kelly's on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason I see is I notice a lot of times when I go to my doctor and I get there, say, at 10 o'clock, he opens at 7. He's already seen 15 or 20 patients. The bottom line to all this stuff is money. They are cramming, trying to cram as many people a day in as they can, and everybody's in a rush and everybody's trying to make more money. But the question I really had that I wondered about after going over all this stuff is, and has Mr. Kelly had an opportunity, or does he know, in some of these other countries, say Canada, or maybe England, or some of these other countries, do they have the same problem with this that we have it here? It seems like the healthcare system in the United States is just broke. The insurance companies are telling you, when you go to the doctor, ask him what level of care is he giving you that day, where it's a level 1 or level 5, where it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes to question him about it, and that makes the doctor mad because he's going to run in and run right back out quick as he can. I mean, we've got the insurance saying one thing, the doctor's, saying something else. But what I was really wondering about is these other countries, do they have the same problem we're having here?
That's a good question, Joe. What I have read is that the other countries do have the same type of problem because they have large volumes as well. But here's the big distinction. We've been told from the beginning that we have the best healthcare system in the world.
That's not true.
And it's really not true when you take into account what we're paying for.
Right.
The other countries don't pay the same amount of money for their health care as we pay for ours.
Now, they're going to point out in those countries, though, they pay a lot higher taxes to help finance some of their medical care.
They do, but the difference is, again, a lot of them, like in Canada, pay nothing. And we do. And the good thing for us is we don't have to wait 2 or 3 months to have an operative procedure. We don't have our care rationed. But if you take into account the cost versus medical errors, we're getting no more for the amount of money we're paying for safety than other countries are getting in their healthcare systems. This is something that's going to have to be addressed in the years to come.
Let's go next to Tom. Tom, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, Tom. Go ahead.
Well, I got several screw-ups on medication. I had my knee operated on and had to replace the knee. Well, in the meantime, they figured out that something wasn't going right, decided to do an MRI on me. And without looking at the medications I was on, which just said don't do it. So they filled my veins full of dye, and I was allergic to that, so that was a downhill spiral. And then they shipped me out to an assisted living place spent for 25 days. Well, I noticed my hand was numb, and my fingers were bowing over into the palm of my hand. And turned out that when I went back to the surgeon, he said, well, that's where they tied you down too tight. Well, how long is it going to take to get over? Well, it might take up to a year. I'm going on 20 months now, and my knee's still numb. Where they cut the muscle, that's done me maybe a year to get over it. My fingers are still numb. Half my hand's still numb, and you can't use that hand. What's the alternative in a medical malpractice? Do they give you a year, or is it unlimited time, or what?
No, it's not unlimited time.
These doctors just tell you, well, it'll be well in a year, and get past a year's time, and you still got the problem.
we've
There you
talked
go.
about that, Tom, and I'm glad you brought that
yeah.
up, because as you and I preach at every one of these shows, there's a common message that there is a 1-year statute of limitations from the date that you discover your injury. And one of the things you have to be aware of is some doctors will simply try to run the clock out by saying, well, you'll get better within a year. Let's just see how you come along, and at the conclusion of the year, let's reevaluate. And when the years run out and you're like, Doc, I'm not really any better, the doctor said, well, I can't do anything else for you. You call a lawyer like Tom just did, and I say, I'm sorry, I can't take your case because the year's run out. So it is absolutely vital that you make sure, if you think you or a loved one has been injured by a medical mistake, a serious injury, pick up the phone and call me. It costs you nothing. The consultation's always free, and that way I can at least evaluate your case and let you know whether you have one, as opposed to saying, I'm sorry, you slept on your rights.
Wow. I mean, think about it. The doctor could say, let's see you in 4 months, 8 months, 6 months, but it's not a coincidence. It's a year in a lot of cases, because that's from the statute. And you were nodding your head when he talked about the die. Have you heard of cases like that sometimes where there's actionable cases?
I've got one. When he said that, I've got the exact same situation where a patient was not supposed to get dye contrast during an MRI, and he got it and was injured. Now, his injury isn't particularly severe. I'm still looking into it, but there's no question it's what we call a medical battery. He didn't authorize the use of dye. They gave it to him anyway, and now he's got some problems.
Ah, boy. Well, Tom, I'm sorry about that. Take care of yourself, and thank you for your call. I'm glad you made that call, because every show we have to mention that, which we should. Yeah. Let's go to Brenda. Hi, Brenda.
Hey, Nick, how you doing? Long time no talk to.
Good morning. Nice to hear from you.
I got a question. My husband had a stroke in 2015. I he had all the signs of a stroke. Ambulance come and got him, took him to the hospital. They told him he had vertigo, sent him home. And then at 1 week to that, he had another stroke. So I called an attorney about it, and they said there wasn't nothing they could do about it, because they lied on the paper and said that he got up and walked out, and he didn't. He couldn't walk. His vision, his eyes were shifty. I mean, he had every sign of it. But the lawyer said that they lied on the paper, that he got up and walked out, and this, that, and the other, and they offered to keep him, and that was all a lie. The second time he had the stroke was 10 days exactly, and they immediately got him to Centennial that time. It was a doctor I'd never seen before at the hospital in Smyrna, and it's a doctor I've never seen again. I want to know, I mean, they extended out you have a year's limit, but they extended it out for 4 more months to find out what they can do. Can I still try to do something? Because they did lie on that paper.
Okay.
All right. First issue is this, and that is involving medical records. I have had cases in the past where medical records have been altered after an injury has been discovered. Before electronic medical records, they would simply go in and put handwriting into the chart, make a copy of it, stick it in the chart, and you couldn't tell that someone had come and made the late entry. Now, in the electronic medical record era, what will happen on occasion is someone will type in information into a box. They'll realize that they need to go change it, and they will go back after the fact, delete that, and put new information in the box, and there won't be any evidence of it in the actual record itself. You have to look at the computer metadata like you would a Microsoft Word document to see when an edit was done, and you can tell at that point whether or not an edit was done later.
Can you recover the original document that was erased, or can you just know that it was edited?
I have before. There's sometimes they're real good. Sometimes they hide it so well that you can't recover it. But I've had handwriting specialists that I've hired actually go and look at a written chart. You can tell by the indentations written in, whether or not there's been a change. Papers, what you do is you lift them up, and you can tell if a paper's been lifted and a new one's been put in. There's a way to find it out.
Wow.
But I want to address her question about the statute. There's always going to be a 1-year statute of limitations unless you can prove fraud. Now, if she can prove definitively that there was a change in the records that was meant to throw her off the scent, then she would have 1 year from the date that she learned about that fraud to bring her claim. But I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything that would allow the statute to be extended except what she says about 4 months. If you give pre-suit notice at the time that you make your claim, the statute of limitations is extended by 4 months, but you have to make your claim within 1 year.
Okay.
That is crucial. That's why you have to have a medical malpractice lawyer do this for you, because people in the general public, they're simply not capable of doing something like that on their own.
Oh,
And most lawyers can't either.
And she did talk to a lawyer, and it sounded to me like maybe that lawyer was unable to come up with a way to prove that the hospital had
The lawyer may have served pre-suit notice and bought another 4 months from her, but that's all that you can get.
Yeah, but then, as you said, you have to be able to prove that maybe they did something with the records, and that's a tricky thing. Like you said, you've hired experts for that.
Apparently this lawyer, or the lawyer she hired, didn't feel comfortable that they could do that.
All right, listen, on that note, we're going to take a break. We've got several people still on hold. The number is open, 737-7587. If you want to jump in, questions, comments, like some you've already heard, maybe you have a case, maybe you don't, but Clint Kelly will tell you one way or another. We'll continue our conversation, have more from that report too, right after this. Stay with us.